In the absence of anything official from BLM, we followed the money trail past Act Blue. There's no FEC or IRS data to trace the donations from Act Blue to Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter does not receive any funds directly. That's right. There's another pass-through. I'm going to show you the receipt you get when you donate to Black Lives Matter. Again, it's the fine print. They reveal that the money donors intend to go to BLM aren't going there directly. Black Lives Matter donations go directly to an organization called 1,000 Currents. What's 1,000 Currents? Well, they're the ones that helped BLM get organized back in 2016 by handling all of the finances and administrative operations. Coming up after this next break, I have a guest on that has shocking information on the leadership of this organization. You'll want to stick around for that because it's insane. 1,000 Currents is a grant-making organization that primarily supports groups in other countries. Their primary focus centers around climate activism and illegal immigration. They get funding, of course, through another leftist pass-through, the Tides Foundation. The Tides Foundation. And Currents, 1,000 Currents. Watch my old episodes on the Tides Foundation. The reason why this is allowed to happen is because no one took us seriously when we first pointed this out. Will anyone take us serious now that our country is at stake? Their director of finance just came over directly from Tides to 1,000 Currents. The fact checkers slammed people for alleging that Act Blue Black Lives Matter relationship could be a giant money laundering scheme for the Democratic Party. But what about the relationship with 1,000 Currents? You'd think people would want to know, given that they receive both funding and personnel directly from the Tides Foundation, a leftist dark money organization. Follow the money, follow the money. And so we did. Again, I'm sure BLM would like to clear their names here. I mean, I would assume they would want to know where their money is. Well, this is an audit we found of 1,000 Current financials for fiscal year last year or the year before 2018. Here you can see the funds that supposedly came from Act Blue, $2.6 million in donations. But look how much they actually handed over. That seems a little suspicious, doesn't it? I mean, I can see holding back maybe $100,000 or so to cover the fees or something, but nearly $1 million? Maybe this is an anomaly, so let's be fair. This is a similar audit covering last year. No, it actually looks worse that year. Donations passed through from Act Blue increased from the prior year, but the amount dispersed to BLM actually decreased. 1,000 Currents kept nearly $2 million. I'm sorry. No, 2.5. Millions of dollars are going into this shady Tides Foundation funded and staffed organization, and millions of dollars aren't going where they're supposed to go. Maybe they just didn't want to collect that money. Look at what they highlight as their focus. Food sovereignty, alternative economies, and climate justice. The partner list they display on their website doesn't even show anything having to do with things going on in this country, because they're in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and beyond. Is money donated by some of the good-hearted Americans that wanted infrastructure improved in American black communities instead going to alternative economies and climate justice in South America? The answer is, I don't know. Because Black Lives Matter, a corporation, and 1,000 Currents absolutely refuse to be transparent with their donation funding. We've got millions unaccounted for and not even a hint of explanation. But what about the money that is being released to BLM? Can we follow that? Well, the Daily Caller has been following the money as well, and they found the financials for Black Lives Matter, the global network, for the years 2017 through 2019. I already showed you that Black Lives Matter is only getting the scraps left over after Thousand Currents gets their hands on your donations, assuming that anyone watching the show actually donated to Black Lives Matter. But this is how they've been spending those scraps. $899,000 on travel expenses, $1.6 million on consulting. Who's consulting them? $2.1 million for their salaries. Only $328,000 went to their various local chapters. Wow. If someone donates to Black Lives Matter, that's the depressing money chain. It first goes to Act Blue. We have no idea then if it even gets claimed, in which the money then goes dark, or if Act Blue cuts the check to where it's supposed to go, in which all money also goes dark. But if it makes it to Thousand Currents, the money is either kept by that organization, in which the money goes dark, or a smaller portion finally goes to Black Lives Matter Global. From there, they spend over 80% on their own salaries, travel, and consulting. All in all, only 6% goes to the local chapter. That's insane. The options here are very short. Either Black Lives Matter knows how much of their money is getting claimed from Thousand Currents via Act Blue, or they don't. If it goes unclaimed, who is Act Blue redesignating it to? Does Black Lives Matter know why millions of the money that is claimed from Thousand Currents isn't getting distributed to them? And where is it going? Either BLM is all in on this, or they're getting screwed by multiple liberal left-wing funding pass-throughs. You'll have to decide until they clear it up. Now, the IRS could clear up a lot of this by auditing Act Blue. Thousand Currents could clear all of this up by disclosing why they're withholding millions from Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter could reveal a lot just by being a little transparent. Until then, more and more people are going to call them frauds. There will be continuous allegations thrown around like money laundering. That's going to continue. It always has the same people involved. Their schemes never change. Democrats love to scream about dark money with those evil Koch brothers, but dark money is quite literally how they are funding the destruction of capitalism and the American way of life. This is why the left has added Black Lives Matter onto their list of untouchables. This is why social and mainstream media have grown their reputation so high that over 60% of voters see them in a favorable light. The only one that people see them more favorable is the military. Well, you can't ask these questions. After seeing all of this, imagine what would happen to this show if I would have put it on YouTube tonight. This is literally why BlazeTV exists. Oh, I still expect them to come after me and come after the Blaze and do all of those things. I honestly don't know how long our voices will last, especially after the next election, should Donald Trump lose. The mainstream propagandists are mobilizing to shut down any dissenting opinion or idea. And that's despite most of this information regarding BLM staring them directly in the face. That includes the violent origins of the leadership in A Thousand Currents. Oh yes, violent leadership. Wait until you hear about this next.